The Boston Celtics just traded a Finals MVP, a 29-year-old who averaged almost 29 points a game and was campaigning for MVP. But Boston had quietly decided Jaylen Brown was not even their best fit next to Jason Tatum. Derek White was. Now, no single game trades a star like that, but watch the season back and one game tells the whole story. So today we build to it, game by game, until we reach the one. Let's break it down. Here is how we get there. First, the reason Boston gave in their own words. Then the season-long pattern, the plus-minus and the on-off numbers that made them nervous. Then the specific nights, the individual games where you could see it happen on the floor. And finally, the one performance that captures all of it. Numbers are verified on the shot charts, the read is mine, and keep one question in mind. Was Boston right or just protecting their wallet? This is Game is Culture. Quick thing before we dig in, if you like breakdowns that actually go to the film and the shot charts instead of just yelling about points, subscribe, because the game at the end of this one changes how you see the whole trade, and you will want to be here for it. Start with what Boston actually said, because coming from a front office about a Finals MVP, it is stunning. Brian Windhorst reported it plainly. Even though Jaylen Brown was talking about himself for MVP, the Celtics did not feel he had the best season on their team. They felt Derek White did, and the reason was one word: impact. They believed White moved winning more. Remember, White was an all-defensive first-team pick and finished 6th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. So this was never about scoring. It was about everything that happens when you are not scoring. Now be fair to Brown, because the box score is not close. With Tatum out most of the year, Brown carried the offense at a 36% usage rate, second highest in the league, and he was the more efficient scorer too, 57% true shooting to White's 53. So Boston is not arguing White was the better scorer, they are arguing something the box score cannot show. Let's go find it. So leave the counting stats behind and look at the pattern that ran under the whole season. This is what Brown gave you every night, almost 29 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, at the second highest usage in basketball. On the surface, he is clearly the star. If you were only handed this card, you would never trade this man, which is exactly why the next set of numbers stopped the Celtics cold. And this is Derek White, 16.5 points, 5.5 assists, and over a block a game from a guard, which almost never happens. He shot 90% from the line and barely turned it over. 12 fewer points than Brown, yes, but look past the scoring, because White's value was never going to show up in points. It shows up in whether Boston won the minutes. Start with the simplest impact number there is, raw plus minus, the scoreboard while you are on the floor. Across the full season, Boston outscored opponents by 598 points with Derek White out there. With Jaylen Brown, that number was 321. Both are strong, but the lower scoring guard finished almost 300 points ahead of the MVP candidate. That is the first crack in the box score. And the number Boston really fixated on was the on-off split. With garbage time stripped out, the Celtics were plus 6.8 per 100 possessions with White on the floor and minus 6.2 with Brown. A 13-point swing between their two highest paid players. There is a real catch. Brown carried bench-heavy lineups at huge usage, which drags anyone's on-off. But even with that, the gap was loud. But a season average is easy to wave off, so Boston did what you would do. They went game by game. And that is where it stops being a spreadsheet and starts being something you can watch. Here's the thing about White's season. On most nights, Brown outscored him because Brown was the designated scorer. But over and over, White's team won the game and won the minutes, even when his own shot chart looked quiet. Let me show you 3 nights that made the front office lean in, and watch the shot maps, because the story is not in how many he made, it is in what happened around them. Night 1, March 14th against Washington, a game White barely scored in and completely controlled. Look at this shot chart, 3 for 11 from the field. Cold. If shooting were the whole story, you would call this a bad game. He went 3 of 8 from deep, missed a handful, and mostly gave the ball up. And yet Boston won that game by a mile with White on the floor. His plus minus that night was plus 33. Brown played the same game, scored 1 more point than White, 16-15, and finished at plus 8. Same building, same opponent, and White's minutes were worth 25 more points on the scoreboard. That is the exact thing Boston kept seeing. Points even, impact not close. Night 2, March 4th against Charlotte, and this one was different because this time White beat Brown at Brown's own game. Here is White's chart that night. 9 of 17 from the field, 3 triples, and 8 of 8 from the line for 29 points. A 70% true shooting game. Clean, efficient, a lead guard carrying the scoring load for once. Now hold that picture and look at what the actual number one option did in the same game. This is Jaylen Brown that same night. 7 of 19 from the field, 20 points on 19 shots. Look at all the hollow rings. A 46% true shooting game carried by volume. He added 11 rebounds and 7 assists, so it was not empty. But shot for shot, White was miles more efficient on the same floor, same night. Put the two charts side by side and Boston's whole argument is right there. On the same night against the same defense, White outscored Brown and nearly doubled his efficiency. This is the kind of tape that turns a hunch into a belief. When your role player is beating your franchise scorer at scoring, the front office starts asking hard questions. So now you have the shape of it. Brown scored more on the season, but White won the minutes. White won the efficiency battles, and White did it while guarding the other team's best player. 2 of the 3 nights are in the books, the plus 33 and the head-to-head, which brings us to the last one. The game that, if you had to point at a single night, is the one that got Jaylen Brown traded. And here is the twist. The single most convincing game White played, the one that showed Boston their future, is a game Jaylen Brown did not even play in. December 4th, on the road in Washington, Brown was out. Losing your leading scorer usually means the offense sputters. Instead, Boston handed the keys to Derek White, and he did not just fill in. He ran the whole thing like a number one option, the exact White-led, Tatum-paired backcourt Boston had been imagining. Watch the chart fill up. 30 points, 12 of 21 from the field, 5 of 12 from 3, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and a 70% true shooting night. Every gold dot is a made shot, and there are a lot of them spread all over the floor. He scored from the rim, from the arc, and set the table for everyone else. This is not a connector stat line. This is a lead guard putting a team on his back. And the final margin told the rest. Boston blew Washington out with White at plus 17. Think about the message that sends the front office. Your most expensive scorer sits and the team does not miss a beat. It hums because the other guard can create, space, and defend all at once. On this night, White was not the sidekick. He was the engine at a fraction of the Supermax. So stack White's best night against what Brown gave you on a normal one and you see the case Boston built. Not that White is the better player, he is not, but that a White and Tatum pairing might fit better, cost less, and win more minutes than a Brown and Tatum pairing ever did. For a team staring at a Tatum injury and a brutal tax bill, that is a very tempting picture. But let's be honest about what really happened here, because a great December game does not, by itself, trade a Finals MVP. The money does. Jaylen Brown is on a $304 million Supermax. Derek White makes a fraction of that. So when the new tax rules turned Brown's deal into a weight, the games we just watched became the perfect cover. Boston did not have to say he is too expensive. They got to say the numbers show White helped us more. The impact data is real, the shot charts are real, but the timing tells you the contract was doing the deciding. And that lines up with everything else Boston did. They shopped Brown as far back as the Durant talks. He answered by signing the biggest deal in the sport and winning Finals MVP. They shopped him again this year after missing on Giannis. And then they dealt him to the Sixers, the team that had just knocked them out, for an older Paul George and a stack of picks. A pattern years in the making. So the big question, was Boston right? Did the games actually justify moving a Finals MVP, or did they just talk themselves into it? Here is where I land. On my dial, the tape genuinely backs the numbers. White's impact season was real, the plus-minus was real, and that December game shows a guard who can lead a good offense. Boston's read is defensible, not crazy, but I stop short of calling it fully right, because trading a prime Finals MVP for an older wing and picks is still a talent downgrade. The fit case is honest, the money case is what pulled the trigger. So here's the honest ending. No single game traded Jaylen Brown. But if you want the moment Boston stopped seeing him as untouchable, it is that Washington night. The one he was not even in, when Derek White showed them a cheaper, cleaner co-star. The Celtics did not hate Jaylen Brown. They just found a fit they liked better and a contract they liked less. So that is the story the shot charts tell. Brown won the box score, White won the minutes, and one December game White carried without him captured the whole thing. So tell me, did Boston make a sharp, ruthless read, or did they overthink trading away a Finals MVP? Drop it below. And we are so close to 1,000 subs, so subscribe to stay up to date.